And joining us now with reaction to all of today's big developments, the author of A Battle for the Soul of Islam, president, founder of the American Islamic Forum for Democracy, Dr. Zuhdi Jasser, and National Review senior editor Jonah Goldberg. Jonah, I want to put up on the screen the video that came out today. ISIS, here is a kid, doesn't look any older than 11 years old, being used to now assassinate individuals, as you can see there in that video. Add to that Boko Haram, and yet with all of these instances combined, you have a White House resistant. They still will not say the words Islamic radicals, Islamic terrorists. Why?
I think basically it's a firm ideological commitment on their part. They basically bought into a tautology that says if it reflects poorly on Islam, it's not Islam. And of course that's self-perpetuating, and it's also ridiculous. Things can reflect badly on all religions. There are things that people do in the name of Judaism, there are things that people do in the name of Christianity, and there are things that people do in the name of Islam that reflect badly on their face. The idea, though, is that from this White House is that they have taken it as an ideological mantra that they're going to create these sanitized euphemisms and categories and abstractions, and they just talk about extremism as if, as if we fought World War II against nationalism and not German nationalism. And they think they're being very clever. But if you talk to, I talk to Muslims all the time, and, they call those people crazy Muslims. But at least they, you talk to a cab driver in Washington, D.C. about this stuff, and they're embarrassed and ashamed that these people are doing it in the name of their religion, for the most part.
Yeah, but Jonah, let me add one thing to this.
Doesn't want to buy into it.
But the White House and Jacques Chirac back in 2012, they urged Charlie Hebdo not to publish cartoons, and Josh Earnest, he went out there with the same admonition, and as Jay Carney did back in 2012, and even today said whenever journalists' work may provoke jihadist attacks, is sort of blaming people for expressing free speech. Shouldn't a president be the strongest advocate for freedom of speech worldwide?
Well, yes, absolutely, and there's also this sort of pernicious assumption here that if you do things that upset the faith of Islam, and I understand why these images would be offensive to moderate, law-abiding, peaceful Muslims, I get that, but the assumption from the White House's logic is that if you do this, those very same Muslims will turn into psychopathic killers. Now, you can't have it both ways. Either this has nothing to do with Islam, and therefore these images shouldn't do anything to arouse anger and bloodshed from Muslims, or it does have something to do with Islam. And they basically want to play this ideological game.
Dr. Jasser, how is the White House's dancing around in fear of identifying the enemy for who they are, how is that interpreted by those that buy into radicalism?
It's basically, Sean, surrender. It is weakness, and it allows, if you wonder why the terror acts around the world, like you have so appropriately shown, from Boko Haram to the killings of the school children in Pakistan, to this attack in Paris, to Ottawa, on and on. It's increasing because they see us as weak. They see us as surrendering. They want imperialism. They want to spread the Islamic states to create this new concept of the caliphate. And underneath the violent component is an ideologic component. And the theme of what you've been saying, Sean, and all these stories is that we have become reactive. We are not proactive. We're reactive. We allow the French and all the other leaders of the world to all of a sudden think about having a rally where we just sort of stand back. We aren't attacking them offensively. We're simply defensive.
Let me go to yesterday, the White House meeting. This is what Josh Earnest said. Through the prism of what we're discussing, I want you to respond to this, Dr. Jasser.
There was a genuine concern that the publication of some of those materials could put Americans abroad at risk, including American soldiers. The president and his spokesman was not then and will not now be shy about expressing a view or taking the steps that are necessary to try to advocate for the safety and security of our men and women in uniform.
Real quick, Dr. Jasser, you're saying radical Islamists will interpret that as weakness?
Absolutely, and by the way, I served 11 years, and as a naval officer, there's nothing more offensive than to see our ideals thrown under the rug. And if you want to enable moderate Muslims who want to fight against theocracy, today, this week, Raif Badawi is being whipped for blasphemy because he says the things I say in Saudi Arabia. The Saudis are whipping him for blasphemy, and they're going to say, oh, okay, the president doesn't care.
Yeah.
Exactly, 1,000 lashes. So how do they interpret that? oh, we respect their destruction of freedom of speech, and the liberals on the ground are going to hate America because we don't stand for what we do abroad as what we do at home.
All right, now, there is an interesting development. The mayor of Rotterdam tells Muslims basically to F off. Watch this, Jonah, quick response. If they don't appreciate Western values, should this be something that all countries maybe should duplicate? Watch this.
Dat je zo tegen die vrijheid je kunt keren. Maar als je die vrijheid niet zit, in hemelsnaam, pak je koffer en vertrek. Ja, en als je het hier niet ziet zitten, omdat je humoristen niet ziet zitten die een krantje maken, ja, mag ik het zo zeggen?
Should countries like France say assimilate or leave? Jonah?
I think, look, I think they have to say, you don't have to say love it or leave it, but you have to say play by the rules or leave. Because the rules say tolerance, nonviolence. You cannot punish and commit violence against people because of what they say or what they paint or what they draw. And I think this guy is absolutely right.
All right. Thank you both. Dr. Jasser, Jonah, thank you.